So you want to know if Kena Bridge of Spirits is any good? Well, you're not alone. There hasn't been any reviews prior to the game's release, but I've played some of it now, and we're going to go over some of the gameplay, and we're going to talk about if it's good or not, as well as check out some gameplay on an RTX 3080 in 4K, 1440p, and even 1080p. I'd like to welcome you to the channel. My name is Gabe. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Kena Bridge of Spirits is an action-adventure game exclusive to PlayStation 5 on consoles. It's also available on PC, exclusive to the Epic Game Stores on PC. Right off the bat, I want to say that the game is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. You're seeing some 4K footage right now, and I also just want to make note that I'm going to label each piece of footage you see. If it's 4K, I'll put 4K. If it's in 2K, I'll put 2K. That way you know exactly what we're running at here. And I guess that the first thing I should talk about is my preferred way to play, because there's always a tug and pull, right? Do you want the highest resolution possible, but maybe you don't get the highest FPS you possibly could? Or do you lower that resolution to, let's say, 2K, and then you have a little bit of a higher frame rate? For me, in a game like this, I found that 4K 60 was plenty, and that's how I decided to play for most of my time. If you are on PlayStation 5, I don't have a PS5 copy, you are able to pick between a performance and a resolution mode. You can either play in a dynamic 4K 60 or in a locked 4K 30. And this one stumps me because the game is not bad. It's actually really cool. There are some Pikmin-like elements where you collect these little creatures called Rot, and they allow you to unlock more powers and abilities. They're really cute. They're really adorable. The world is stunning. I'm going to keep saying that because as you're seeing here, the gameplay is freaking gorgeous. I haven't played a ton of it. I wanted to make this video very quickly just to be able to show you guys how it runs, just in case you're thinking about getting it on PC. I was honestly expecting a little bit more performance in 2K resolution. I was expecting a little bit higher of a frame rate, but this is made by a team that's never made a game before. That's enough talking about this right now. Let's go ahead and get into the gameplay so we can talk about what we are seeing. Okay, the first footage we are going to be taking a look at is 1080p on high settings. I didn't want to do medium or anything because like this, we already get anywhere from 144 to 165 frames per second. If you are still running a high refresh rate 1080p monitor, the game still looks and runs really well at 1080p. I also just quickly want to note that every single piece of footage in this section of the video is going to be the exact same piece of gameplay, just at a different resolution. Next up, we are checking 1080p Ultra. As you can see here, the frame rate drops closer to 120 instead of 165. Of course, it is still 165 in the menus. I am only opening up the menus so that you can see that we are indeed playing at 1080p Ultra. You are still likely to get very close to 120 FPS, and the game does look a little bit better, although the difference isn't all that great in my opinion. But if you want as many frames as possible, maybe lower it to high. Ultra's still cool though. Next up, we have 1440p on medium settings. You get well above 120 FPS for the most part. It does get as high as 160 something. It does go as low as 130 something, but for the most part, 1440p, 2K medium settings, it still looks really good. 1440p on high does bring some dips. It does go below 100 sometimes, but for the most part, you're still likely to get anywhere from 105 to 120 FPS. And when you are playing 2K high settings like this, it already looks absolutely gorgeous. You can push it to ultra if you want, and we're going to take a look at it here in a minute, obviously, but 2K high settings, the game is still just superb to look at. I'm going to let you be the judge of the 1440p ultra footage for yourself, because for me, it gets a little too unstable and it dips a little bit lower than I would like. At this point, since I can't notably tell much of a visual difference between 1440p high and ultra, I'd rather just keep it at high and then just get that more consistent frame rate that stays above 120 just by a tad for a little bit, because here we see it drop as low as 90 and I'd rather have the higher stable frame rate, but that's just me. For the 4K segment, I thought why not go ahead and switch up the scenery a little bit. What you are looking at now is a battle intensive section. We come across this room with enemies, a lot of particle effects, a lot going on. We are playing at 4K medium here, and you see that we do stay above 60, and the game looks stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's like playing a Pixar movie in real life. I always asked myself when I was a kid, will we ever get to the point where games look like Toy Story? And I think we are damn near almost there in some instances, especially in the cutscenes. We're not going to see a ton of cutscenes in this video, but the cutscenes in this game are just... They're movie quality cutscenes, to be honest. So anywhere from the mid 70s to the low 90s is what we get here at 4K medium. And let's go ahead and see what 4K high looks like. Native 4K with the high preset seems to be about where the cap of where I am comfortable being. I don't want to really play anything higher than this because as it is on 4K with high settings, you do dip below 60. Now, it's not any dramatic dips. You see it in the high 50s to maybe the mid 60s. So if that's something you're comfortable with, yeah, 4K high, it looks just amazing. But if you are one of those type of people that don't like seeing your gameplay go below 60 whatsoever, yeah, you're gonna need to tone it down just a little bit. But like I said, there's not a ton of visual difference with these presets, at least not that you can just tell by playing. Of course, if you are just pixel counting and like trying to pay extra attention to every detail, you will see differences. But I think that 4K high settings is just about as far as I want to go, because anything above that, I feel like it's gonna cause a little bit too much trouble. But speaking of being above that, why not take a look? Last but not least, what you are seeing here is 4K with ultra settings. Of course, if you tinker a little bit and you use custom settings, you could probably get just as much detail and everything with 4K close to ultra, maybe just lowering a couple of things. But for me, I'd rather play on high because I need that little bit more of a consistent frame rate. This still hovers very close to 60, as you can see here. This isn't an area with a ton of enemies. This is more traversal based. You saw a little bit of this footage here in the beginning, but since it is a more open space, I wanted to show it to you just so you can see what it runs like and what it looks like. It does seem like if you want to play at the highest visual fidelity, you could still do so, especially if you're one of those type of people that do not care about playing in 30 FPS. If you want to play in 30, you're good. Go ahead, have fun. That is totally an option for you. And the visual quality that you're going to get here on PC, it's going to be unmatched. At the end of the day, that's the beauty about playing games on PC. You get to customize however you want to play. And at the end of the day, Kena and the Bridge of the Spirits is a really visual striking game that offers quite a bit of fun, at least from what I've played so far. Even though it looks the way it looks, it isn't a full price game. It is a little bit on the shorter side. I've heard close to 8 hours more or less, and that to me is absolutely perfect. I prefer games that are a little bit shorter just so I can get through them, experience them, have my fun, and then move on to the next thing. There are a ton of games that I want to play right now, and I'm glad that I got to experience Kena, Bridge of the Spirits a little bit early. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Obviously, this is more experimental content. I don't do a ton of stuff like this on PC, but hey, I had the game early and nobody really has any reviews or had any reviews. I think by the time I'm posting this video, reviews are out there now because this video is taking me longer than I would like. But regardless, it's solid. I'm looking forward to playing more. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate the support. See you next time.